Welcome back to College Football Legends, where we dive deep into the stories of the game's greatest heroes. At the conclusion of the 2023 season, there was a whirlwind of sudden and dramatic coaching changes. This year's coaching carousel has made headlines, while bringing hope to some programs with the potential success of their new hires, while simultaneously enraging some fan bases as the exit of their head coach left them with a feeling of betrayal. There is one coaching change that's responsible for the domino effect in the coaching vacancies of college football, and that would be the sudden retirement of Alabama coaching legend Nick Saban. Whether or not if you're a fan of the Crimson Tide, we can all agree that Nick Saban is one of the greatest college football coaches of all time. In today's video, we will discuss his accomplishments, but we will focus on the impact he made on college football, and specifically the University of Alabama and the entire community of Tuscaloosa.
Challenges to overcome. You believed in the process.
And what I would like for every football team
in Pasadena and the first Heisman Trophy.
This legendary coach's journey began as a defensive back at Kent State University. He began his coaching career as an assistant at his alma mater, while taking multiple assistant positions at programs such as West Virginia, Syracuse, and Ohio State. Nick Saban's very first head coaching role was at the University of Toledo, where he led his team to their very first conference championship. After a brief stint with Toledo, he joined the NFL as a defensive coordinator under the legendary Bill Belichick. As many of you know, the Cleveland Browns have a reputation as a struggling NFL franchise, and Coach Saban will quote directly that was the worst 4 years of his coaching career, with mostly losing seasons during his time in Cleveland. Although his time in Cleveland as an assistant coach was full of turmoil and struggle, the life lessons he learned would shape him into the legendary head coach we know today. Moving on from the NFL, he used those struggles to propel himself into a successful career as a Division I college coach. During his time at Michigan State University, he led the Spartans to their very first 10-win season in 30 years. He began to develop a reputation for maximizing talent and winning the recruiting battle, which is vital for the success of any college program. Conversely, the LSU Tigers is a program that's notorious for producing top-tier talent. Yet, this talent didn't convert to the win-loss column in a very tough and competitive Southeastern Conference. LSU gave Coach Saban an opportunity that proved difficult to turn down. In turn, he gave his assistants the same opportunity, simply stating that everyone on the Michigan State staff was welcome to join him in Baton Rouge. Simply, meet him at the airport the following Monday morning at 8 a.m. On the surface, this sounds like an outstanding opportunity in retrospect, joining Coach Saban to build what we now know as the process. However, this process entails countless hours that each coach under Nick Saban is expected to fulfill as a member of his staff. This would mean that his assistants rarely left the athletic complex during the work week. He would bring in barbers for their haircuts, medical personnel for their routine checkups, and daily food delivery. Each waking hour, the staff was expected to be fully dialed in into the success of the program. Surprisingly, only a handful of his assistants followed him to LSU. Those that remained on his staff would become a part of his legendary coaching tree, which includes Will Muschamp and Jimbo Fisher. Before Nick Saban's well-documented success with the Crimson Tide, he enjoyed similar success at LSU, leading the Tigers to their very first national championship in 35 years, defeating the Oklahoma Sooners. After his success at LSU, Coach Saban re-entered the National Football League as the head coach for the Miami Dolphins. This is where he learned that the pro game is drastically different from the college ranks. Coach Saban's time with the Miami Dolphins was overall unsuccessful, which isn't too uncommon for many successful college coaches that are unable to replicate the same success in the National Football League. After closing the chapter in Saban's career in the National Football League, the University of Alabama would offer him an opportunity to turn around a program that had fallen on hard times, while propelling himself into a 17-year tenure that will result into one of the most successful college coaching careers of all time. As many of you know, the University of Alabama has a storied history of gridiron success. The Alabama Crimson Tide has won at least one national championship in each decade since 1925. Before the arrival of Nick Saban, the Alabama Crimson Tide was in the midst of a 15-year drought since their last national championship. To add to their dire situation, the program was in the midst of NCAA sanctions that resulted in a reduction of scholarships that hindered their ability to attract the top-tier talent. Upon the announcement of hiring Coach Saban, he arrived in Tuscaloosa receiving a hero's welcome. In a society that wants instant gratification, Coach Saban asked the fan base and his players to simply trust the process. Coach Saban knew that his methods would turn the tide in Tuscaloosa, but he also understood that the results would not happen instantly. The program did experience their initial growing pains, such as embarrassing losses to mid-major program Louisiana Monroe, finishing the season with a very mediocre 7-6 record. As the process began to take hold, Coach Saban will propel the program into an unstoppable force. We are all aware of Coach Saban's victories on the field, yet the process that he built in every aspect of the program built a solid foundation that yielded continuous success for the program. For example, he revolutionized the recruiting process by acquiring talented assistant coaches that were able to connect with the next generation of future gridiron stars and buying into Saban's philosophy. In addition, Coach Saban would write personal letters to top recruits and going as far as visiting them in their hometowns. A prime example of which is former All-American and first-round draft pick Quinnen Williams, who was originally committed to play at rival Auburn University. At the time, he was rated one of the top defensive linemen in the country. Yet, Auburn wanted to change his position to tight end. Coach Saban saw this as an opportunity and made a personal trip to his hometown to convince the young recruit to flip his commitment. Coach Saban visited Winona High School, located in the inner city of Birmingham, Alabama. His arrival to the campus was that of a foreign dignitary. Pulling up to the school in a motorcade of all-black Mercedes with armed security was something that had not been witnessed in that community. Despite his arrival, Coach Saban was charismatic, personable, and down to earth while talking to the young recruit, his family, and the high school coaching staff. This meeting left a lasting impression on everyone at Winona High School, including Quinnen Williams. His former high school coach, which is coincidentally my late father, and his parents emphasized that Coach Saban's extra effort could be a sign that Alabama might be a better fit for his football future. Despite the legendary players that have played at the University of Alabama over the years, they had yet to have a Heisman winner. Since Coach Saban's arrival, they have had 4, including Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, Devonta Smith, and Bryce Young. Although the Heisman Trophy is an individual award, this is a testament of Coach Saban and the program he's built and a result of the process. As a result of the team's total success, which includes 6 national championships and 9 conference titles, which is the most of any program in a 17-year span. His biggest and most underrated accomplishment is the economic impact on the university and the philanthropic endeavors that have had a lasting effect on the state of Alabama. Prior to Coach Saban's arrival, the total enrollment at the University of Alabama was around the national average of 25,000 students. Since Coach Saban's arrival to campus, the enrollment has doubled to 50,000 students, which is a 60% increase from the national average. The football program's success has generated over $1 billion to the community of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. The influx of students and the increase of the total population has increased commerce to this community, which in turn has increased the employment rate and created new opportunities in a state that typically ranks in the bottom percentile in employment. The prosperity and success that ascended upon this small college town came to a brief yet tragic halt on a fateful day in April of 2011. A Category 5 tornado ripped through the community, causing incalculable damage around the university. A total of 64 residents lost their lives, and including those injured was Carson Tinker, who starred on special teams for the Crimson Tide. Despite his injuries and the tragic loss of his girlfriend in this disaster, he took part in the recovery efforts of the community. Carson Tinker, making a full physical recovery, was able to participate in the following season, where Alabama went on to clinch the national championship in a 21-0 shutout victory against Coach Saban's former team, the LSU Tigers. Carson Tinker's resilience is a testament to the culture that surrounds the Alabama football program. Coach Saban's foundation builds Habitat for Humanity homes for families in need. In the wake of the tornado recovery efforts, Coach Saban and his wife Terry took on the daunting task of doubling their home building efforts. Currently, Coach Saban and his wife's foundation has built a total of 22 Habitat for Humanity homes and donated over $12 million to a vast array of charities. His former players followed their coach's example and poured their resources into the recovery efforts. For example, former Kansas City defensive back and Crimson Tide star Javier Arenas loaded up a truck of supplies and drove from Kansas City to deliver them to the University of Alabama. Other Crimson Tide alumni such as Courtney Upshaw and Julio Jones have made similar contributions. Coach Saban's sudden retirement from his position as head coach has left a void in the college football landscape. His impact of over 700 former players earning their degrees while winning 6 national championships and 9 conference titles is nothing short of legendary. The economic impact on the University of Alabama and the entire state is immeasurable. Coach Saban's ability to attract top talent, revolutionize recruiting, and build a powerhouse program has resulted in increased enrollment and economic prosperity that's brought a sense of pride that extends beyond the football field. Thank you for joining us on another episode of College Football Legends. Do you think the Crimson Tide dynasty will continue after the departure of their legendary coach? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below.